Why are child combatant rights a challenge in IHL? Child combatant rights present significant challenges within international humanitarian law. This stems from various factors that intertwine legal definitions, enforcement issues, and the unique status of children in armed conflicts. International humanitarian law, which includes the Geneva Conventions and their additional protocols, prohibits the recruitment of children under the age of 15 in hostilities. This rule applies to both international and non-international armed conflicts. However, the Geneva Conventions do not clearly state that children cannot be used in armed conflict. The minimum age for recruitment can differ across treaties and customary law, leading to confusion. While international humanitarian law sets the age at 15, human rights law typically sets it at 18. This inconsistency complicates how laws are applied and enforced. Enforcement of these laws faces its own set of challenges. The International Criminal Court prosecutes the recruitment and use of child soldiers as war crimes, but this relies heavily on cooperation from states and the court's jurisdiction. Many armed groups and states continue to recruit children, especially in areas where monitoring is weak. This gap in enforcement undermines the protections intended by international humanitarian law. Children associated with armed forces or groups often have a dual role as both victims and, at times, perpetrators. International humanitarian law emphasizes treating child combatants primarily as victims who need protection and rehabilitation. This requires special juvenile justice approaches, including minimum ages for criminal responsibility and prohibitions on harsh penalties. Balancing the need for justice with the recognition of children's vulnerabilities adds another layer of complexity to their rights. The realities of armed conflict further complicate the implementation of protections. Children are frequently forcibly recruited or coerced into service and may be used in various roles. This makes it difficult to identify, protect, and demobilize them, especially in non-international conflicts where protections may be less comprehensive. International humanitarian law also includes specific protections for children, recognizing their vulnerability during war. However, the overlap of their status as civilians and potential combatants creates legal and operational challenges for humanitarian actors. Addressing child combatant rights requires coordinated efforts. First, there is a need to clarify legal definitions and align age standards across international humanitarian law and human rights law. Second, enhancing enforcement mechanisms is essential for holding accountable those who recruit children. Third, prioritizing rehabilitation and reintegration programs tailored to child ex-combatants is vital. Improving monitoring and reporting of child recruitment in conflict zones is also necessary. Finally, ensuring that judicial processes respect children's rights and focus on their protection and recovery is crucial. These challenges highlight the tension between protecting children as vulnerable individuals and addressing their involvement in armed conflict, making child combatant rights a complex issue within international humanitarian law.